Well, sticking with consumer spending, the TSA is saying it expects to screen 18.5 million travelers this holiday weekend. That comes after 2 days in just the last week, ranked in the top 10 of busiest days in TSA history. So how should investors weigh hard data versus soft when it comes to the consumer? Joining us now is Glenn Fogel, Booking Holdings CEO. Glenn, welcome. What are you seeing in consumer mindsets at a time when many are credit stretched? What are you seeing in consumer mindsets toward travel and ability to spend that additional dollar while out there?
Well, thanks for having me. And look, we've seen since the pandemic, people like to travel. And it doesn't seem to matter what the economics are. You know, we had some scares about recessions over the last couple of years, and people continue to spend. You know, you mentioned TSA. One thing you didn't say is that they hit a new record all-time high a week ago Sunday. They did over 3 million people were screened. I mean, these numbers are big.
Okay. Now tell me about the impact, if you can gauge it thus far, of AI on the travel experience, and not just the experience of researching or booking travel. I just got back from Bangkok, Thailand yesterday, and in navigating Bangkok, I had this really interesting, to me, combination of AI help in location and translation, and also human help as well. How are travelers using that, navigating that? Can you tell, and where do you see opportunity?
Yeah, no, this is an incredible transformational technology that we absolutely are spending a lot of time, energy, effort, money, people, in really developing some of the best tools using generative AI. For example, at Booking.com, we have our AI trip planner, which I hope you did use in Bangkok. I hope that was helpful to you. Don't know if you did or not. But those are the type of things people want. They want the help. They want the assistance. They want to make sure they're getting the best value for their trip. But then when they actually are traveling, they want to have a tool that will help make it easier. And it's only going to get better. I think one of the things that's being said is that today, it's the best it's ever been, but it's also in the future going to get just even better. And I see this as one of the things that we have a great opportunity because of our scale, because of the number of people we have, the capital, and just the long-term use of AI in the past. I think we are really in the leading position for the use of Gen AI.
And it's one we'll continue to watch. I want to go back to, I mean, you just mentioned the numbers are big. You're talking about TSA and travel demand. A couple months ago, we started to see the softness in airlines. It was seen as a canary in the coal mine for the broader economy, waning demand, the airlines cutting capacity. It sounds like those fears have not become reality based on what you're seeing. Is that the case?
Well, I think we have to be really careful how we talk about it. See, one of the interesting things is we at Booking Holdings and Booking.com, our biggest brand, we are very, very global. So when I hear people talk about travel in general, usually they're thinking just the U.S., but the U.S. is just a small portion of our global business. So when I talk about travel, I'm talking globally. And certainly there can be different areas having stronger areas, certain areas having weaker areas, but I don't look at just one area. So we say, well, we're looking at the U.S., perhaps not as good. From my point of view, that's interesting, but I'm really looking at globally. And right now, what we've been seeing throughout the last couple of years is that people like to travel. I was in Nice last week, actually, and I was actually pleasantly surprised to find lots of people on the beach there, which is good for me. Maybe not so great for the people on the beach where it was very crowded.
So global economic uncertainty amid trade dynamics, geopolitical risk, given what we've seen with wars in places like the Middle East, that hasn't been denting demand?
Well, of course, anytime there's an event like that, there's going to be an impact in a regional area. But that doesn't mean for a global player that you may be badly impacted. Because somebody says, well, I was scheduled to go to the Middle East on a trip. Now I'm going to change it. I'm going to go somewhere else. Look, we talked about this in our first quarter call. We mentioned how Canadians all of a sudden weren't going to the U.S. as much as they used to. But for us, it didn't matter so much because we mentioned how we had an increase of Canadians going to Mexico. So again, it's very helpful to have this global diversification, and that's something that we're very proud of.